Okay, I've got a question. What do a set of secret winter dances, a deep knowledge of trains, and the most supportive of high school literature teachers have in common?
Well, somehow, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in 2024's Hallmark mystery movie, A Dance in the Snow. And we've got a lot to talk about, Josh.
We do, Jennifer, and we will unwrap it all for you on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
Well, we are off to Hallmark Mystery on this particular episode of Do You Watch What I Watch? And as we have come to expect, Jennifer, we are ramping up the drama, and accordingly, we are ramping up my cry count. Stay tuned for that.
Oh, no. I wonder where the cry count will come in at on this episode, so can't wait to find out. Here's the plot summary. Melanie's autistic daughter, Jenny, a high school senior, plans her own party with friends while Melanie works with Jenny's teacher to create an inclusive school dance, leading to romance.
So we open to a piano ballad and the unpacking of some sweet Christmas memories. It is Mom who's doing that. Her name is Melanie, and Jenny is her daughter. And soon enough, they are off to the Christmas dance at Cherrywood High School. Now, Jenny has autism and is off to hang out with her friends at the dance. And soon enough, Melanie runs into Daniel, who is Jenny's favorite teacher at the high school. But the music at the dance is too loud. And then it starts fake snowing indoors, and it's all just overload. And Jenny has to leave the dance immediately. Mom finds her on a bench outside and comforts her. This is a lot for the first 5 minutes, Jennifer.
We don't waste any time on Hallmark Mystery, which I don't know why it's Hallmark Mystery because there's no mystery in this movie, but like you said, it's the heavier, more serious, heartfelt movies usually the end over there. Yeah, that's so odd. I mean, and I can imagine it would be a sensory overload for sure.
Yeah. They put these movies under the Miracles of Christmas umbrella over there at Hallmark Mystery. That's sort of their thing over there. So yeah, it is a different flavor of movie, and that's certainly the case here. So flash forward 1 year, and Jenny is applying to college. She's now a high school senior, and she wants to go to this place in California that apparently has a whiz bang literature department or something. Now, Mom is obviously pretty hesitant about all of this, and Jenny is hesitant about the Christmas dance coming up, especially when Mom tries to change the subject about the college plan. So it's clear she doesn't want to go to the dance. So Melanie gets some encouragement from her coworker at the nonprofit she started, because if you don't like Melanie enough for the way that she sort of speaks to her daughter in the first 10 minutes, then you find out that she actually started a whole nonprofit to help families like her in whatever town they happen to find themselves in. I guess Cherrywood would be the name of it. I don't know. Cherrywood High School, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, soon enough, she runs into Daniel at the school, who offers to help smooth things over for the dance so it's a more enjoyable experience for Jenny. So Daniel's obviously proving himself to be his own high caliber individual. Did you like these leads from the start?
Love these leads. He was in To All a Good Night last year with Kimberly Sested, which I didn't recognize him at first, but I liked him then, like him here. And then she was in a movie with Victor Webster last year that I did not see, but I remember people saying it was good. So this is my first adventure with her. But yeah, I thought they had great chemistry, great connection. If you've watched Gilmore Girls, it very much reminds me of Lorelai Gilmore and Max Medina season 1, okay? He was Rory's literature teacher, and they kinda had a little thing, so it reminded me of that, which I'm always very pro Gilmore Girls similarities, so yeah, I'm
Oh,
on board. I'm here.
for sure. Yeah. Mom and daughter have a little bit of a spat over the whole college thing. It is clear the tension over the dance aspect of all of this is spilling over into other areas of their life. At school the next day, Jenny decides that she's going to hatch a plan with two of her girlfriends to plan their own dance to honor her mom for all her mom does. Now, Jenny wants it to be a secret to also lift her mom's winter blues, because mom apparently gets sad this time of the year, recollecting on the divorce and being a single mom and everything going on in her world. At the same time, Melanie's friend encourages her to create the dance of Jenny's dreams. And Melanie wants to keep that a surprise. So to recap here, mom and daughter are secretly organizing winter dances for each other, which is just the sweetest little plot that I think you could ever come up with for this kind of movie, right, Jennifer?
It's sweet, yeah. It gets a little messy to me, but it was very Gift of the Magi, I think. Like, you know, kind of they're both wanting to do something for the other person regardless of what it does to them, I thought.
Yeah. At school, Jenny stands up to some bullies who are giving a new kid some big time trouble. He doesn't speak, but they make eye contact, and it's clear that they think each other is cute. A little bit later at the nonprofit, Melanie is there with her girlfriends, secretly working on their secret dance plans. The new boy's mom is there because her son Will, that's the boy's name, is on the autism spectrum, and she's looking for services in their new town. He and Jenny happen to see each other there. They make eye contacts and both slightly smile at one another. So, teen romance is a bloomin'. Did you like them as a couple?
So cute. Yes, they're precious. And it wasn't that he was nonverbal, he just sometimes chooses to not speak. So he's very selective of when he chooses to talk to and who he chooses to speak with. And I thought that was very sweet because you can see the ice thawing with him, like, or the walls coming down that he's built up, um, because he likes him some Jenny. I thought it was precious. What did you think about them?
Absolutely. I was team Will and Jenny all the way around. I liked them
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Melanie is advocating for a sensory inclusive Christmas dance at the PTA, but the queen bee of it all is less than supportive. Uh-uh. They say she needs a faculty liaison, which seems like they're putting up some sort of arbitrary roadblock. Well, here comes Daniel, heart of gold, swooping in at the last moment, and the quote unquote accessibility team is officially a go. Now, Daniel makes it clear he really does want to help here. He doesn't just want to be a signature on a piece of paper, which is great to hear. And that guarantees then that the two of them will have to spend plenty of time together in the days to come. Because, yes, we are at this point, I think 9 or 10 days out from the big winter dance. So they are throwing together a major dance in about a week and a half.
Yeah, these conversations I fully support probably should have happened before now. I can agree with that. Like, maybe we should have started talking about this like last January. But here we are. It's Hallmark World. We love party planning at the last minute. So
We love a
can
tight
they
deadline.
pull it off?
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
In the midst of the dance planning, Melanie's nonprofit has a field trip planned to Will's family Christmas tree farm. Did you follow me? Little complex here. Yeah. And
Well,
Daniel,
because the original place fell through. Like they originally had something else, and this one that fell through. So the mom was like, "You can come to the Christmas tree farm."
yeah, which turned out to be perfect because Daniel shows up there. Melanie's nonprofit, of course, is doing the field trip. He flirts with her as they, well, really she, cuts down a Christmas tree. She and Daniel and Jenny and her girlfriends are both talking through their individual plans for the secret dances we've got going on. And before they leave, Jenny really sweetly slips Will her phone number just in case he ever wants to talk to her.
I loved all of this except, did you hear what they said? Each student at the end of this field trip can take a tree home. An entire tree? If my son goes on a field trip and comes back with a Douglas fir, I'm gonna have issues. Like, we're doing this. What are we doing? Because it's not like this is tradition. These families were not planning on the teenager
No.
bringing an entire tree home.
You're right, because it was presented
First.
very much as a surprise. Melanie was like, and kids, guess what? They said you could take a tree home. Yeah, exactly.
Not a poinsettia, not like a small token.
Not a leaf tree.
Tree
A whole
from a tree farm. And what kind of bus did they rent to get these things home? I'm very confused. Okay.
U-Haul.
It was my biggest head scratcher moment of the whole movie. But yeah, I had to laugh.
So Will now has Jenny's phone number, and that leads to a little text flirting conversation between the two of them later on, as well as Melanie and Daniel have their own little text conversation, which was pretty flirty too. Next day, we get a craft montage since that's how Jenny and her girlfriends are going to make money to fund their big dance. They wind up selling cards that they made with one of Jenny's poems on it to Daniel for a whopping $10. Hashtag inflation. I love a handmade card,
In
but
this
$10.
economy, yeah, my gosh.
Seriously. Will offers to show Jenny the trains at his family's tree farm and suggests they sell trees to fund their dance. So Will has of an affinity, I'll say, for trains, which is he loves the detail, he loves the technicality of it all. It's really his thing, and he's all in on trains. And so he wants to show her the trains that are there at the tree farm and also says, hey, we could sell these trees to fund the dance. It's super cute. And so are Daniel and Melanie as they plan for a silent disco as part of their dance plans. If you're not familiar, that's where you wear headphones and they just play the music through the headphones while everybody dances so you can kind of control the volume yourself, which is like a great idea.
That was amazing. I love that idea. Hallmark must have just learned about silent disco last year, though, because they used it in the Santa Summit, they used it in Confessions of a Christmas Letter, and now this is the first time it, like, really makes sense to have it. I thought that was a great idea
Yeah,
because then everybody, like you said, can have control of their own little domain there and still be together. Loved it. Thought it was
loved
great.
it. So Will, as I said, is really excited about trains, and he and Jenny talk about their plans and their fears a little bit. It's clear that they think each other is cute at this point, and later he has an idea for a venue for the dance. Why not just use the barn on the tree farm? He tells her she can talk to him when she's scared, which was really sweet because they're starting to get to know each other and both of them have these fears, and he sort of has found a way to deal with his fears and sort of invites her into that, which will come back a little bit later on, which is really sweet. Melanie and Daniel decorate headphones for the silent disco and talk about his keen ability to inspire students like Jenny. Then they pitch their plan to the PTA, and what do you know? It is a mega hit, and now she is officially a chairwoman for the dance. Here we go. Later that night, it is clear she is really happy when gabbing with Jenny, and Jenny's happy too as Jenny clicks send on her college submission, her application to go to California. So stay tuned. This is after she went
Without
to
telling your
Daniel.
mom.
Yeah, she didn't tell her mom. She went to Daniel, her favorite teacher, and said, hey, would you write me a recommendation? And he did. So stay tuned. You can see the
Did not
oopsie doodle
mom
coming.
wasn't on board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see the oopsie doodle coming on this one. We get some dueling dance preparation montages, and Daniel and Melanie go out for dinner and a moonlit stroll, which is a really great scene. He recites some Lord Byron, because of course he's a literature enthusiast, a teacher, and also a poet himself, published poet. And she admits that she bought his book and says he's talented. Melanie encourages him to find ways to live out his dream. So back at the barn, Jenny and Will are decorating for the dance, and she tells him she's scared about snow. Turns out she got with her mom into a car crash in the winter earlier and then wandered off in the snow, got a little bit lost. It was very traumatizing and scary. But Jenny finds out that snow is on the way while they're at the barn, and she gets very afraid very quickly and bolts, even though Will is trying to help her in the moment. What did you think about this sort of representation of kind of a triggering event for someone who might be on the autism spectrum?
I mean, I thought it was really well done, and I will say I do not have personal experience with this, so maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it was really carefully thought through, and it was really well done because in the beginning of the movie, they're ready to leave the house to go to school, like or maybe they were going to the dance last year. Anyways, early in the movie, she asks her mom, "What's the weather like?" And she just tells her, and then they move on. And you could tell even then that that was a seed that she does this constantly. She's always looking at the weather this time of year because of the snow, because of the traumatic event. I mean, no wonder she would be scared of it. It sounded terrible.
Yeah,
So, I thought they handled it really well with a lot of care. What did you think?
I thought the same. I think it was clear that they had conversations about how this would present because they wanted to do it the right way and not make it something that was comedic or cheap or
Mm,
fake or phony. I think they really tried to bring some dignity to the reality for a lot of people that I thought was really, really, as you said, kind of nuanced and thoughtful. I loved it.
mhm.
So Jenny and Melanie are both upset for bolting on their boys when it started to snow, but Daniel is right there. Jenny is too, asking her mom about how to fix things when she thinks she's ruined them. They have a tender moment. So it's kind of one of these scenes where mom and Jenny are not together when she's facing this challenge for the first time, and then they sort of have to clean up the mess from that. I thought it was really kind of well done. Jenny goes to the barn and sees Will has been working on the train. It's kind of sweet. And later, Melanie and Daniel go on a French inspired date. Now, the whole thing with Daniel is that he wants to go to Paris and be inspired in France and the whole nine yards. So they go on this French inspired date. He has an ascot and she has a beret, and it's mildly cheesy to me, but still pretty endearing. What did you think about
I
the
loved
French
it.
date?
I thought it was super cute because it happened later in the movie, and I was already rooting for them as a
Mm,
couple. If this had been, like, their first date, I would be like, "This is too much. This guy or these people this is no good." But because it was based on conversations we'd seen and it was a cute little gesture, I loved it. I thought it was super cute.
yeah. He walks her home
Wee
and
wee.
kisses her. Wee wee. He walks her home and kisses her just as Jenny walks up hand in hand with Will. Okay. Jenny lets on that she should hear back from her California college any day, and Daniel lets on that there are, in fact, two Christmas dances coming. Whoopsie doodle. Here we go. The
I
whole
mean, the beans were just spilled everywhere casually. Like, I thought it would be a bigger reveal of how this all comes to be. No, Jenny just, I don't know if she mentioned it just in front of everybody so her mom could find out with everybody there to kind of have buffers because she didn't want to have the conversation that she'd applied to this school, or she just wasn't thinking. She just saw her teacher and just mentioned it. But that was a big deal. And then Daniel's out like, oh, yeah, there's two dances. Bro, you've been supposed to keep this a secret the whole time. What are you doing?
What are you doing? This is, of course, the oopsie doodle here, and immediately mom and daughter are fighting, and she pumps the brakes on things with Daniel. Whoa, here we go. A
Yeah.
lot to clean up in the last 12 minutes of this movie. Yeah. Melanie unpacks it all with her work friend. Then she goes off to the barn and she sees what the kids there have been up to. And she's incredibly impressed, as she should be. The place looks really great. And they soon reconcile, Melanie and Jenny. It's really kind of a sweet scene because it's very much this thing where mom is like, you really are capable of doing things that I didn't necessarily think that you are. And I think that they really, again, did that very, very well. They decide to combine the two dances. Let's just do one with mere hours to go. Here we go.
Sure. Everybody who had tickets for the official dance can certainly reroute themselves to a barn
Yeah.
at the last minute.
Yep. Yep. And during the setup of all of this, Daniel tells Melanie that he's going to take a sabbatical and leave at the end of the school year. So it's sort of like a secondary oopsie doodle. He might soon be out of the picture here. Again, we've only got like 9 minutes left in this movie, and they're just continuing to give you more plot development. Here we go.
TikTok, yeah.
Yeah. So Jenny and Melanie get ready for the dance, and both of them look like $1,000,000 at the end of it. But ruh-roh, here comes another plot point. Will shows up with Daniel. They're ready to take these two fine ladies off to the dance, and it starts to, what do you know, snow. Will, in what I think is really a great scene here, he storms away, storms out of the house, and immediately launches into a description of how snow forms because he knows everything about this. And he has this line where she's like, why are you talking so much? And he says, I talk when I'm excited. And then he says, because I'm excited about you. Oh,
Loved it.
stop.
So sweet.
So sweet. There's some fake snow. I'm going to let the fake snow in this one slide because my tears are totally real at this point.
When it was so sweet because, she was like, "I'm not gonna go to the dance. You can't make me like, I'm over it." And he goes out to the sidewalk and makes this declaration, and it kind of lures her out. She's like, "No, don't run away." Oh, and then she kind of lets her guard down like, "Oh, shoot. Now I'm outside. Now I am in the snow. What do I do?" And then they choose to go to the dance. And it was
Ew.
so well done. So
So well
sweet.
done. Yeah. The dance looks like a big hit. Melanie gives an inspiring speech, and she finally professes her, like, not yet necessarily love for Daniel by reading one of the poems in his book. The poem was actually really great about sort of finding your inner strength and overcoming obstacles and being your own version of yourself. I really liked it. They wander outside afterward. He invites her to join him in Paris for his sabbatical. She immediately says yes, just going to uproot her life and go to Paris. Why not? Why
She's
not?
gonna be an empty nester, I guess.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
fly on to Paris.
Yeah.
Forget the nonprofit you help run.
Hmm. Okay. We'll let it slide. Jenny immediately kisses Will. And we fade up to the falling snow, and then we fade to black.
It's time for gold or coal.
Okay, it is time for our Gold or Coal segment. If you're new with us, we are each going to bring 3 gifts to the podcast. If there is more gold, it's going to be a terrific 2-step. And if there's more coal this time, it's got 2 left feet. And if it's a tie, which does happen every now and then, it's just going to be a Merry Christmas. Josh, I'm coming to you first.
So, gold for me to start. I really liked this portrayal of the parent-child relationship between Melanie and Jenny. You get the sense that they wanted this to really reflect every parent-child relationship, not necessarily just those with children who are on the autism spectrum. Because as I was watching this, I was like, Melanie's doing what any parent would do here, right? Just trying to help their child sort of conquer their fears, make the most of what they've got, kind of do what they can do, that whole thing. And then butting up against letting your child kind of spread their wings and go, right? And I think that's a universal thing. And I think that they really played it really well and really smartly. You got the sense that they didn't want Melanie's character to pity her daughter,
Yeah.
and there was none of that. And I think that that
Mhm.
was really, I think, a thoughtful way to do that parent-child relationship that really, I think, had application for any of us who have kids.
Absolutely. I will give some gold. I loved the inclusion and representation aspects. And similarly to what you were saying, as a parent, I think one of the worst things is that your child is being excluded or not feeling safe and welcome in an environment. And so the fact that she's like, even though it's like 9 days before the dance, yes, I am going to take this party on. I'm going to make it sure that my daughter has fun at this dance. It wasn't just about the dance. It's so much bigger than the dance itself because they could easily just skip the dance, but it's more about universally making a safe space for everyone to feel involved and welcome. And I just thought that was really touching and sweet and well done.
Great. Me too. I'm giving more goal. I thought it was an A plus handling of portrayal of the autism spectrum. And I'll tell you what the scene that I really liked was the scene where Will was new to the school and the bullies were handling that, and being
Mhm.
nasty to him. They let Jenny's character be the hero in that scene, which I thought was a really smart and clever move because
Mhm.
if you hadn't been thoughtful about it, you would have had someone who didn't have autism or
Right.
wasn't on the spectrum kind of swoop in and protect. And I think it was such a great choice to let the kid in the same boat be the one to stand up to the bullies, right? And I
Mhm.
just loved that. I thought it was really thoughtful, really smart, and I think really reflective of bringing dignity to people who often feel like they don't get dignity, aren't dignified, right? And I love that.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, it was funny because I was kind of nervous in that scene, wondering what the bullies would do to retaliate, but it's almost like you get the sense that it's a smaller school and they know Jenny and they've known her so long that they respect her. So if she says chill out, that they'll listen to her. Jenny was not targeted or bullied in that regard during this movie, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was good. I will give gold for the teacher Daniel, his character. We need more male teachers in this world, I think, like strong, good role models. And man, wouldn't you love to have a teacher like Daniel at your school? And maybe you all did, but I just think he played that part so well. You got the sense that all the kids wanted to be in his class. They really enjoyed it. And it doesn't hurt, for Melanie that he looks good. So she can kind of take a little more interest in him.
Yeah.
But I thought he was great. Yeah.
Yeah. And that sort of dovetails with my last gift, which is gold. I really liked the leads in this one. I thought the two of them together were great. I think that she brought a lot of heart and a lot of authenticity to the role. I agree with everything you said about him. He's great in these Hallmark mystery movies. I think like the heartfelt stuff is really his wheelhouse. I couldn't see him doing like a goofy, funny, quirky one over on Hallmark. This is really, I think, where he really shines. And I think the two of them together were great. Their relationship felt earned, as we like to say. And I think that it was a great matchup for them.
I agree. I will give one small piece of coal. The whole blow up with the reveal of, oh, I applied to the school and the dances are being planned separately. I thought that was a little random, and maybe it was supposed to be, but it did feel like too much all at once that we're blowing everything up. I don't know. I don't know what they could have done differently, but I didn't really like that part.
Hmm. I get that. It was a little out of left field. A lot of story exposition in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. For no real reason to bring it up. Like it just nothing really caused it to be revealed other than they were all just big blabbermouths.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
So bottom line, the score on this is 5-1, a terrific two-step. And I've been doing, if you're new to the podcast, been sort of suggesting kind of the scenario in which you might watch this movie, if you will. But I want to ask you, Jennifer, now that I've done that for a few episodes this season, what would be the scenario that you think folks should watch this movie? Your turn.
I think if you have preteens or teenagers, this would be a great movie to sit down and watch together as a family because the younger kids, like, I have a 6-year-old. I don't know that a lot of this would resonate with him. He likes the more quirky slapstick stuff, but I think that preteen teenage year that might not really want the super red and green Christmas on the Hallmark Channel, they might like this movie, and it would lead to some really interesting conversations, I think, of how we treat people and how we're all more the same than different, and I think it could be a really interesting dialogue that could come from it.
I love
What would you say?
I was going to agree with that. I think, I would even say freshman, sophomore of college, home for
Oh, yeah.
the holidays with the family, that kind of thing. Definitely a young adult movie, because I think it would be interesting to sort of see what teens would think about not just having folks in their classes who might be on the autism spectrum, but again, to go back to sort of like, what does it look like to grow up and to sort of step out on your own, even when you're afraid and even when your parents might not necessarily 100% agree with your decisions. Like, what does that look like? And I think that that's something that's universal. And I think that's something that you could easily see this as a great conversation starter. So totally agree.
Well, I gotta ask you, Josh, drum roll please, what is Josh's cry count for this movie?
The cry count was at 3. I will say I'll give it a 3. Although I will say it was sort of like, huh, maybe the last 10 minutes, it was sort of like a roller coaster. Like I was crying probably the last 10 minutes, but it was like I'd catch my breath and then come back up for air and then it was like very that.
Very unstable until it
So
last 10.
which is par for the course. These Hallmark mystery, these miracles of Christmas ones, they write these to get you, and they got me.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I think it's justified. This was a very sweet movie, so I'm not surprised at all by your cry count. Is this the most you've cried this year?
Yes, for sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That, friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I
A
Watch?
very special thanks to our great friend Nick Schwartz for our amazing theme song, and a very heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you for taking the time to listen on your favorite podcast platform, or liking and subscribing, or watching on our YouTube channel.
So many places to find with us and connect with us. You can find it all at doyouwatchwhatiwatch.com. Hey, if you're in the giving spirit and you want to give us a 5-star rating and review or subscribe to us on YouTube, we won't hate you for it. In fact, we'd love you for it even more. So feel free to do that. Okay, next time we'll be chatting about Hallmark's 2024 movie Sugar Plums. And here is the plot summary. Emily's wish for a picture perfect Christmas comes true when a magical, optimistic movie character steps off of the screen to help. But as things spiral out of control, she learns that true holiday perfection might look very different from what she imagined. Now, that's how you write a synopsis, and we will have much to discuss. But until then,
May your days be merry and bright. We'll see you soon.